Fire.
Today on DNVR Buffs Live, is there a pattern forming in the way that Colorado has added to their offensive line this offseason? Let's dive into that and much, much more right now.
Buff Nation.
Let's go.
Squat.
Welcome into Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It's DNVR Buffs Primetime, awarded the Colorado Least Biased Podcast of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Dang, they're on it, bro.
They are on it, man.
And if you understand that joke, I love you.
What's up, boys? Big day. Lots of stuff going on.
Hell yeah.
I love that for us.
Same, man.
We earned it.
Bro, I said this on the Broncos podcast, so sorry for double listeners who are hearing me repeat myself. Is this not the longest week ever?
It's a rough one.
Now that you mention it, how is it only Thursday?
I don't know, dude. I remember on Tuesday night being like, oh, hell yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Wait. I think my theory on the show this morning was it's the first week that hasn't been impacted by the holidays in a while.
Yeah, it's true.
First week we haven't traveled or had to do anything in a minute.
Yes, exactly. So maybe that's it. Although you weren't here Monday, so
Monday was still a day for me, brother.
Travel day.
Yep. All right, we got a lot to get to. We're gonna pick the Orange Bowl, tonight's CFP game, stock report, some recruiting stuff. Scotty wrote an article on London Merritt talking to Cliff Hill. But we start today with the commitment last night from Zy Crisler.
Zy Crisler.
No, we actually got that figured out.
It's on the
pretty good.
pronunciation guide on Illinois' roster.
He got one under his belt. He's actually got one.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you. He committed last night. Pete Thamel reported it. Although there may be a caveat with this thing that we'll get to. But Zy Crisler started 30 games at Illinois, played right guard, some right tackle. But as you mentioned, it seems like there's a pattern forming here.
Yes. What is that pattern?
They are loading up on these big, experienced offensive linemen in what I think looks like a bit of a scheme shift.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about with Unk right at the end of the season was, look, there's going to be a major focus this offseason in improving the running game. And that comes from two different places. One, that is the way that Coach Prime came up in this game. He won Super Bowls with Emmitt Smith. Mm-hmm. And then you go and you check out what happened at Jackson State, and they pounded the rock there as well. I remember thinking, actually, during the Celebration Bowl, I was like, they're running it too much.
Yeah.
Just let Shador take this thing.
Yep.
That obviously has not worked out so far at Colorado. But I think that there's a huge misconception that was by design and not by just the way things happened. The 2023 offensive line couldn't block for the run whatsoever.
Nope.
And they actually tried even harder to make that happen in 2023 and still failed pretty miserably. And then I think they really thought they had figured it out and found the answers this year to run the ball more, and it didn't work. And I think the only difference was they kind of pulled the plug on it a little bit faster because they didn't want to find themselves digging deeper down into that hole. To me, if Coach Prime had it his way, they would be running the ball 60-40.
At the least, I think he, like you said, I think he values the balance. And he mentions that a lot in the press conference, being balanced on offense and getting the running game going. Like, I don't think Coach Prime is like blind to this fact and is saying, you know, we want to go throw the ball all around the yard and lead the nation in all these passing stats. I refuse to believe that.
For sure, yeah. I mean, we know they're going to have more of an emphasis on running the ball. And we've also noted that they haven't necessarily added any running back additions out of the transfer portal, but this is now the third offensive lineman that has been added via the transfer portal now that it's been open for, you know, a few weeks now. And Zy Crisler, you mentioned it, Jake, a two-time honorable mention all Big Ten selection. He started 30-plus games. He has experience at right guard. He has experience at right tackle. And the thing to me about this trio of offensive linemen, and I tweeted it earlier, these guys are experienced. These guys have played a lot of college football. Those three guys combined, Aki Ogunbiwi from Texas A&M, Zarin McGill from Louisiana Tech, and obviously Zy Crisler, who we're talking about here now, Crisler, excuse me. That trio, dude. That trio has combined for 65 career starts. They have combined for 94 career games played between three of those guys. So these guys, like I said, are experienced and played a lot of football. And again, I agree. It shifts a signal to a more emphasis on the running game, which it has to be, whether it's Caden Salter under center, whether it's a true freshman in Julian Salter under center. This running game is going to have to be elite, you know, especially in certain aspects, in certain environments, whether you're on the road, whether it be cold weather, whatever, especially in the Big 12 as well. So, again, I agree. There's a shift here, and this is another nice add on that offensive line for sure.
Wait, do you guys know who the Rizzler is?
I've heard it, bro. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, good. The Crisler.
The Crisler.
What was that meme you posted yesterday? Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah. That was an old Vine.
That shit made me laugh
For
so
the Vine.
hard.
Have you never seen that before?
No.
That's a classic.
You only saw the very end of it.
Yeah, that's a classic.
It has like 4 parts to it.
Oh, really?
But the end of it was Merry Chrysler. And so when I thought his name was Chrysler, which I wish it was, that's the first thing that came to my mind when he committed.
So with this commitment, this is the biggest guy the Buffs have gotten so far on the offensive line.
He's massive.
6'6", 335. Zarin McGill is 6'2", 308. He plays center. Aki Ogunbiyi, 6'4", 315. Chauncey Gooden's a big boy himself at 6'4", 320. And Carday Smith. And by the way, we saw Carday Smith at the hotel.
Big fellow.
I never want to hear that guy is small ever again.
Thank you.
Again.
I said the exact same thing on one of these shows. I was like,
good.
Anyone who thinks that guy's small has never stood next to him.
No, he's listed at 6'5", 293.
Yeah.
I think 6'5" is low.
I was going to say, when I
He's
got off the
tall.
elevator,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he's closer to 6'7".
no, for real.
And then, of course, Jordan Seaton at 6'5", like 290 right now.
Yep, and he's gonna get bigger and stronger.
I'm sure.
I bet you he clears 300.
Well,
by the time
all of
they
these
kick off.
guys, Coach Mo gets his hands on them, and you know they go
Yes.
through the training at altitude this offseason. I mean,
Dudes
This
are going
is-
to transform.
this is easily the biggest offensive line, meanest, toughest offensive line since Coach Prime has been here.
Yeah, and I think that you unlocked a little bit of, or you got rid of a little bit of desperation when it comes to Emmanuel Pregnon by landing the Crisler. But imagine if he just decides, you know what, I am kind of homesick.
Yep.
And you add him and his size to this offensive line.
Yeah,
They're building a wall.
they are.
How do we feel about this offensive line at this point, y'all? I made a little list. Top 12, potentially, offensive linemen on this roster right now.
You got him ranked?
No. Just so like left tackle, each spot, 2 guys at each spot, plus 2 kind of
Oh, okay.
depth off the bench, if you however you want to call it. Left tackle, obviously, is Jordan Seaton, right? He's never going to come off the field. We'll throw Ben Renzik at there, kind of as his backup at left tackle. Left guard, Aki Ogunbiyi, competing with Chauncey Gooden potentially at that left guard spot. Cash Cleveland at center, competing with Jared McGill at center. Right guard, the Crisler, competing with potentially Tyler Brown at the other guard spot. And at right tackle, Philip Houston did a really good job the second half of the season. I would give him the the edge there, competing potentially with Carday Smith. Kareem Harden will be in the mix. Zach Owens probably will be in the mix. That's 12 right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Crisler played a little bit of right tackle in his career too. So,
did.
You know, I'm kind of hoping that there's less shuffling positionally.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see when this new offensive line coach comes in how he feels about that stuff. But I'd love it if from spring ball through the season, the guys are practicing at the same position and playing at that position.
Yeah. I think.
What about Tyler Brown?
I named him at right guard, competing with the Crisler.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, thinking back to last offseason, when they did, start shuffling positions, that was kind of a sign of things to come, I think. But they also struggled with injuries. Like Khalil Benson, we've talked about, it was never really healthy after week 1 or week 2, whenever it was. Actually, I think it was before the season, wasn't it, that he hurt his shoulder?
Yeah, because I remember that like fall camp. Yeah. Going into the season. Yeah.
So you just got to hope you get through this offseason healthier and that you've just hit better on these guys.
Yep.
Just have a more solidified offensive line. And they're doing this without an offensive line coach right now, by the way.
Yeah, which some would say could not be done.
Yes, many have said. We'll talk about Caden Salter a little bit in the near future, but they are really building like a ground and pound attack, it seems. Or they're trying to emphasize that with the commitments that they've brought in this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best way, and you can talk about Caden Salter. I'll talk about it in the Julian Lewis lens. This is the best way to ease in a young quarterback for the first time at a new level is give him a consistent running game. The one that I always kind of look back on that is the blueprint for this in the pros to me was Dak Prescott.
Yep.
He comes into the Cowboys. Zeke is at his peak. No rhyme intended. And they have like just 5 monsters on the offensive line, and they basically just asked him to throw into the open spaces that were created by play action and bootleg and all that stuff. And so when you're able to create that, and honestly, to a lesser degree, because the Broncos can't run the ball, but with the offensive line, I mean, the Broncos have a massive, solid offensive line. That's a big part of the reason why Bo Nix has been able to have so much success this year. That is a huge part of it. And I think that that's a clear reason why they've gone out there and made this such an emphasis this year is like, we're going to run the ball well next year, and either whatever quarterback you have, it's going to make their life a whole lot easier.
I'm willing to guarantee that there are certain points this season, and certainly in 2023 as well, where Shedeur was like, I didn't got to do everything. If I don't play up to my complete standard, pretty much, we're going to have a hard time winning the game. Yeah. And that's going to be hard for Caden Salter to feel like you have to do everything or that I have to play my A+ game for us to have a chance in every game. That's going to be hard for a true freshman, even a talented 5-star true freshman, to think that if I don't play well, we're not going to have a chance to win the game. So yeah, whoever it is under quarterback, a running game is going to have to carry this team at certain points, particularly through that Big 12 slate. And we're seeing remnants of that kind of being put together now. And I'm just really excited to see how these running backs evolve. Obviously, I mentioned before the show, looks like Dallin Hayden might have some connection with the Crisler. He seemed pretty excited to have him in Boulder, but I'm really excited to see a sophomore year of Michael Welch. Isaiah Augusta with another year under his system. This running game has to really, really kick it up a notch. I think it will too.
And while we're talking about this, I made this plea last year. Not as much of a plea, actually. I just made the case for Mike Munchak to be the offensive line coach. But I'll make my plea now. Like, Coach, if you're listening, this is perfect. I can't think of a better fit for the program that Colorado is trying to build here in terms of being a pipeline to the National Football League than bringing in Mike Munchak. And, we've talked about it a little bit, but for people who don't know this, Mike Munchak was the offensive line coach for the Steelers forever and just pumping out dominant offensive linemen and dominant offensive lines. And the only reason the Broncos were ever able to get him to come here was because he had just had grandkids in Colorado, and he just said like, "Hey, look, I'm later in my career. I want to be close to my grandkids." And so the Broncos kind of lucked out, got him here. don't even want to get into the fact that they didn't retain him during a coaching change. But Mike Munchak still lives in Colorado, and I think would be an incredible addition. And like, I'm just thinking about like Jordan Seaton being able to work with Mike Munchak.
Man,
it's just to me an unbelievable opportunity. But there's also a chance that he just says like, I'm pretty good. I like my life now.
I mean, he was offensive line coach for 2 years for the Denver Broncos when Pat Shurmur was offensive coordinator here too.
Direct connection.
Yep. All right, let's take our first break. Shout out to the homies over at Elevations Credit Union. Sexiest credit card in world history, right?
What a win.
That's what the streets are saying. But yeah, emblazoned with that beautiful black and gold with the CU Ralphie logo. Elevations Credit Union is offering 3% cash back on CU tickets and merch with select CU merchants, 2% cash back on restaurants, gas, streaming, and phone plans, 1% cash back on daily spending, and 2 cents per swipe to the CU student athletes through NIL with the Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards Card. You can sign up over at buffscreditcard.com, the only official credit card of CU Athletics. So go get yourself one of those beautiful credit cards. Shout out Elevations Credit Union.
Also, shout out to Game Time. Wherever you are looking to go to a game this weekend, or a concert, there's no better place to get in on it over at Game Time. The craziest one is the Broncos going to Buffalo. So if you want to support the Broncos out there in Western New York, I called it Northern New York earlier this week. I think it technically is Northwestern New York.
Sure.
Anyways,
I wouldn't know.
it's definitely Western New York. And so if you're in that area, you're going to check out the Broncos. I mean, you can sit in the first level in the 9th row for $169.
Wow.
And that's all in pricing, which is what I always have mine set to. There's other ones in the top or in the front area for $155. I mean, the get-in price is, well, I lost it. Really low. So get over to Game Time. Use the code BUFFS for $20 off your first purchase. Just a great example of how great of deals you can get over at Game Time.
All right, let's talk a little bit of recruiting. The Buffs put out a big offer yesterday for Daverin Deuce Geralds II.
Deuce.
Wow.
He is a 4-star defensive lineman from Collins Hill High School in Suwanee, Georgia.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar.
Very familiar. Listed at 6'2.5", 265 pounds. He is the 69th overall player in the 2026 class, 5th ranked defensive lineman. So, I mean, in 5-star territory right now. We'll see what happens.
Was it Juju who said something about him?
Juju did have a tweet about him.
Saying like, come get him or something, right? Like,
yeah, said like, Buff Nation, go blow this one up or run this one up. And tagged Corey Phillips in it too. So Juju is all about it. This guy has all the offers though. Alabama, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Michigan, Ole Miss, Penn State, Tennessee, USC, and now Colorado.
Is Travis at Collins Hill?
Yes.
Okay. Get that pipeline going.
Facts.
Let me double check. Or actually, no. Effingham County High School.
Okay.
Springfield, Georgia. But I do know that Coach Swick obviously knows him.
Yeah.
The head coach.
Because I remember he referenced him in your interview with him.
That's the first time I heard of Travis was actually when I talked to him. So
Okay.
we'll see. But
Dope.
the Buffs they've really recruited Georgia. Obviously Carrollton with Julian Lewis. And then the work that Charles Kelly put in it. Buford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's for Mantrez.
There was another one too, though. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. But either way, they've done a great job in Georgia, which is not a place that Colorado has obviously historically had success recruiting in. Really, most programs outside of either Georgia or the SEC have a hard time recruiting there.
Yep.
So.
And then Scotty, we teased this earlier in the week, but you talked to Cliff Hill a lot. who knows a lot of these IMG kids, knows a lot of, or helps out a lot of these high school recruits, try and find landing places, basically. He came out here with Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng and London Merritt. Of course, Owusu-Boateng goes elsewhere, but Merritt is a Buff. Tell us about your conversation with him.
Yeah, much like our guy Deuce right here, London Merritt had offers from everywhere. And really only gets to a place like Colorado because Coach Prime is the head coach. I mean, London Merritt had offers from Alabama, Clemson, Miami, Michigan, Notre Dame, a bunch of other spots. Obviously, a 4-star edge, certainly in that 5-star territory, definitely has 5-star talent. And you just mentioned Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, who is certainly one of the best linebackers in the class, obviously committed to Michigan. Cliff Hill, again, who advises, is the agent for each of these guys, NOB, London Merritt, Alexander McPherson as well. Coach Hill told me about London that he doesn't have a ceiling. He can be a 36-month guy, which is obviously 3 years in college and year to the NFL. He goes, him talking about London and Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, both who I brought out there to Colorado. Those two are just special athletic kids who don't have ceilings. Their ceiling is whatever they decide it is. They're as good as anybody there is. And again, London Merritt, man, if y'all not up on him, we about to find out. Listen, could you pull up that clip for me if you can? I don't know if y'all seen this, but this boy is from this summer against a Rivals 5-star camp against some of the best offensive linemen in the country. I mean, look at what he's doing. This kid right here that he's going against is a 4-star offensive lineman committed to Michigan. This kid right here who he just dusted is 4-star committed to Penn State. This is a 2026 4-star. This is Mario Nash, who he's going against, a 4-star committed to Florida State. I mean, absolutely doing these boys in. Again, this was this summer while he was committed to Ohio State. Cliff Hill was the reason that obviously he ended up flipping to Colorado, because Cliff Hill knows that the NFL connections that Coach Prime has, his network is very much what the guys that he represents are looking for, because all the guys that he represents pretty much are future NFL guys, or guys that have NFL potential. London Merritt is one of them. He's going to be a dog. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise Coach Hill, obviously, if he cracked the rotation as a true freshman, because he's just so twitchy, man. He's strong. He's elusive. He can bend that corner, get around the edge, and obviously finish in the backfield. I mean, y'all saw when we watched his film a couple weeks ago for a film breakdown. Dude's everywhere. He can do everything. He's very versatile as well. London Merritt is one of them ones for sure.
That versatility too, man. He lined up all over right there.
Yes.
I mean, he was rushing from inside and outside.
That long arm that he hit that dude with, and then just put him on his, like, that's almost fighting words, if fighting words were a move.
Yes.
Like,
bro, you
you
do
might
me like
have to do something about that if you're on the receiving end of that.
When all these cameras are out, I got to get my lick back somehow.
Or you either got to stand up and square up, or act like you got hurt.
Yes. And again, in those clips, I mean, a Michigan commit, Penn State commit, Florida State commit. I mean, he is certainly one of the best pass rushers, maybe one of the best defensive players overall in the class of 2025. And he's heading to Colorado largely because Coach Prime is here, because Coach Sapp is here, Coach D. Lou, of course, Robert Livingston as well, who, you know, Coach Cliff Hill and London Merritt both love. So I'm excited about this one for sure. Y'all should be as well.
I mean, he's one of the recruits I'm most excited about in this class.
Yeah.
You know, they brought in, was it 15, 14 guys in this recruiting class?
Yep.
And how many times, I mean, we've talked about Quentin Gibson a ton already. We've been talking about Julian for a year now.
Yes.
London Merritt, we're obviously pretty high on. Chauncey Gooden's been balling out. Alex McPherson's been going crazy at early practices. This freshman class, I mean, obviously only 14 guys, but man, I can't help but feel like they're looking really, really special at this point. And I think a lot of them are going to see the field this upcoming season. Yes, bro.
The 14 high school guys plus the 16 transfer additions that are already in tow. I mean, that's 30-plus new guys who, I mean, most of them, if they haven't already produced at a high level at the college level, there are some 4- and 5-star talents coming from the high school level that should have everybody in Buff Nation excited.
As the chat is saying, London Merritt can swerve bend that corner.
Whoa. I love that they caught that. Squad.
Crazy. Well, we can use that really as a natural transition into stock report.
All right.
New players.
Jello ball, stock up.
For real. 30 total new players, 16 transfers, 14 incoming high school recruits. Who are you buying stock in? Like kind of like early my guys here.
Okay. I'm stealing this one from you. Buying stock in Tajay McCoy.
All right.
I mean,
So this is. I thought this was.
I thought we were doing new guys too, but I'm down with that.
oh, just new guys.
We can do.
No. Let's do that.
Okay.
So just. All right, you go first, Scott.
Damn, okay. All right. Buying stock in new guys, whether it be transfers
and
high school signees, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start at the high school ranks, and I'm going to go with somebody that we talked about briefly. I believe last week I tweeted about him when we were out in San Antonio because I saw him in person for the first time. Chauncey Gooden, bro. He's so massive. He's so skilled. Again, he was coached in high school by a Hall of Fame center in Kevin Mawai, so he's been brought up the right way as well. Again, this is somebody to me as a true freshman can have a Jordan Seaton type impact on the offensive line. And I think Chauncey Gooden has a really bright future. To me, again, he's another guy that I see as a future pro. And yeah, he's going to be a problem for opposing defenses, for opposing defensive line, both in the pass game and the run game. I'm definitely buying all the stock that I can in Chauncey Gooden.
There's a lot of competition for this stock. It's already rising quite a bit. But I'm trying to hoard as much of his stock as I possibly can. It's Quentin Gibson.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a battle for who gets to call him their guy. I will refuse to lose that battle. I mean, Max Prep's Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Dominated the high school state championship game in Texas. For him to just go out there into Jerry World and just tear it up on the biggest stage after kind of I don't know. I think that there's whenever people see a guy like this who wasn't even ranked before the season, I feel like they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when's that size going to come? Is he going to get hurt? Or, can he make the contested grabs or whatever? It's just they're like, this can't be real because how did we not know about him?
Right.
Facts.
And then he just went out there and, absolutely took over the game in that state championship game. And it's just okay, he's undeniable now. And as much as I think it's fun to dunk on the rating services for how wrong they are about him.
Yeah.
I also think they might have done us a little bit of a favor.
For sure.
Because there's probably a world where Quentin Gibson is a 5-star.
Yes.
And Alabama and Georgia and Oregon and all, and then Ole Miss and all the money schools are coming in and just bending over backwards to try to get him there. So Colorado, is not the only school to have discovered Quentin Gibson, but they got in there early enough. And I think that he feels a bit of loyalty to Colorado.
That's where I was going to go.
For being one of the ones who got in on him before he did things like that.
And really put him on the map, too.
Yes.
I mean, we've talked about how that Colorado offer came in for Quentin Gibson, and all of a sudden, what was it? He went on a TCU visit, right after he committed. He was getting all these other offers from the P4. Colorado really did put him on the map, and I could see that. That loyalty factor, I think, could be something in play for sure. I'm going to go with another wide receiver, though. Quanell Farrakhan Jr. I think Quentin Gibson is going to be an impact player this next year, but he can do it in a variety of ways too, right? Quanell can do that as well. We saw his ability in special teams, the 4 returns in one game. He has got the size too, and I think he's got just the all-around, the frame, the hands, the route running ability to be the next, Quentin Gibson will be too, but the next impact freshman wide receiver at Colorado. I bought into Quentin Gibson pretty early on, and I'm going to stand on that because...
You mean Quanell?
Yes, Quanell early on because he's just dominated at North Shore.
I think naturally... No matter what, one of us is going to like each player more than the rest of us. And you're definitely the Quanell guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that both of us aren't high on him, but someone has to win that.
Right.
That's yours.
Facts.
All right, let's take our next break, and then we'll do another couple rounds of stock report before we pick the Orange Bowl. Shout out to Toyota, man. How's the Toyota driving these days, brother?
Like a dream. Like an absolute dream.
Getting through all the ice and snow okay?
Yeah, dude. I won't, get into it, but you were talking about your vehicle, maybe not being able to handle this, and I just simply can't relate. I'm out there, today I was running, So every day this week I've had a workout, and then I was trying to make it to Broncos, all in the span of an hour. And I had to rush today from my house. Left my house at like 9:51, trying to get here by a 10 o'clock show. And the roads were icy. Didn't care. Still able to turn it up a little bit. Not that I recommend that, but Toyota, man, keeps you safe. It keeps you sturdy on the roads. It can get through all conditions. And it's just the absolute best when it comes to the car game. So if you're looking to up your game so you're not like Jake feeling uncomfortable driving in the snow and ice, go over to your Front Range Toyota stores and check out a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places.
When you're driving around in that Toyota, man, I mean, you got to keep it fueled up, right? You got to keep yourself fueled up too.
Yep. Got to.
That's where our friends in Circle K come in, your one-stop shop on the road for everything. Shout out to them for helping fuel the Great American Stampede. For all the snacks that we lived off of from Circle K in that time as well. They really came in clutch for us. Download the Circle K app and sign up for the Inner Circle or scan that QR code on the screen right there. Your first 5 fill-ups once you join the Inner Circle are 25 cents off a gallon. You get every 5th item free on rollers, Polar Pops, all kinds of stuff. All you need is your phone number and email address to sign up. But join the Inner Circle. New offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly. All right, stock report. We'll do at least another 1 or 2 rounds here. Who wants to go first?
I feel like we should do transfers this round since we
Okay.
all did incoming freshmen.
I like
the first
it.
one.
I like it.
And I'm going to go with somebody who's stock people should be buying more of right now at this moment in time. And that's Caden Salter.
Ooh.
That's Caden Salter. We're all talking about how we all know this receiver room is going to be stacked. We were just talking about how this offensive line should be much improved, both in the run game and obviously pass protection. And obviously Caden Salter himself can really play at a high level. If this man can just get back to his 2023 form, which again isn't too long ago, when he had 3,900 total yards and 44 total touchdowns during the 2023 season, this Colorado offense is going to be explosive once again in 2025. And again, I think at this point in time, without having obviously went through spring, without having going through fall camp, I would expect at this point for Caden Salter to at least be the week 1 starter. And if he continues to, from week 1, play at a high level, I mean, he's going to stay in the lineup. You know, the only way he gets taken out, you know, if he's the week 1 starter is if, you know, his play, I would believe, starts to falter. No pun intended. But again, I think Caden Salter, again, we've seen what he can do, obviously, at Liberty from a talent perspective. His ability to run with the football, both in design run plays and obviously scramble, extending plays. I think it's going to be a real asset to this offense. And I can see Caden Salter in a perfect world, again, really leading a really explosive Colorado offense again in 2025.
We don't have to get into this now because we'll have plenty of time to debate this.
No doubt.
I would just like to say that I disagree with him being the week 1 starter.
I hear you on that.
But only time will tell.
Facts.
We'll talk about him a lot more here.
And again,
coming
that
up.
could change after spring, after
Exactly.
fall. But as of right now, that's what I think is going to occur.
I'll have a film room coming out on him tomorrow too. I've been digging in to his tape the last couple of days, so there's a lot to like. There's a lot to talk about with that. My transfer, I'm going to pick Zach Atkins,
Love it.
the tight end coming out of Northwest Missouri State. He was highly coveted this offseason, and I think he was one of the earlier commitments in this transfer portal period. So I think he's kind of been forgotten about a little bit. But Colorado has not had a tight end like him the last 2 seasons at all.
Nope.
And I'm excited to see him get on the field. I think he will be the starting tight end, and how he changes things for this offense, because as we talked about in the first segment, it does look like they're going to try and lean into running the ball a lot more this next season. And they're going to kind of have to, right, with Caden Salter or the freshman Julian Lewis under center. So Zach Atkins could be massive in that, not just in the blocking game, but being, quarterback's best friend, little outlet passes, these RPOs where it's just like the tight end runs a flat route off the handoff. You know what I mean? I think that he'll have a lot of easy opportunities in the passing game, but he's going to be pretty key with this rebuilt offensive line for CU's run game next year.
I like that, bro. If this Colorado offense is going to be what it wants to be in 2025, Zach Atkins has to be a big part of that, and I think he will be. It's a great one.
I hope that I'll be happy if he makes it past spring ball and still on the team, unlike the last two tight ends.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Zach Atkins. Man, I'm torn here. My New Year's resolution to be more defensive, but also there's just such a great option on the board. Actually, this should snake draft, so I should get 2 in a row.
We could? Yeah, go
Do
ahead.
it. Do you want to do it next round? We do a player on the roster, like a returning player.
Oh, okay. Well,
like
that wouldn't help me with my dilemma right now, but that's fine. All right. Give me Tafik Bayard. New Year's resolution, care about defense more. And I think that he's going to be a staple. I think, as I watched the first 2 episodes of the Prime Doc last night, and it just hit me that like Cam and Shiloh both leaving is not going to be easy to replace. For several different reasons. But that also creates a huge opportunity for someone to come in and carry on their legacy and, take over that role as kind of the enforcer on the back end of the defense. And I think Tafik Bayard is going to be that guy.
Hell of a pick. And I also love, too, how, at least on Twitter, he's like shown love to like Cam.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's realized the impact that Cam has had on this defense, and kind of seems like he feels like he can have a similar impact, or at least wants to have a similar leadership impact on this team. And I feel like that's super dope.
Returning player?
Really quick, watching the Prime Doc makes me sad. Just like seeing like guys like Cam.
I'm like savoring the Prime Doc. Like I watched the first 2 episodes.
Yes.
I'm like, episode
save
3
it.
can wait.
Yes. And I can't remember if we told the story on the show. Did we tell the story on the show of our last interaction with Cam? Hopefully not our last.
It's not our last interaction.
No, I'm just saying our most recent.
I don't. We not on the show.
So after the Alamo Bowl, do you even remember what time we started the post-game show? Because it took you guys a while to get out of there. It took us a while to get set up.
Probably
it was late.
10:30, 11, maybe
Yeah.
even later than that.
11 o'clock by the time we started it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Time we finish it, it was after midnight, I'm pretty sure. And we're packing up, heading out. Cam, out of nowhere, just comes down the elevator, comes on to where we're doing the show, comes over, and just says like, "Hey guys, I don't know when I'm going to see you next, so I just wanted to thank you for everything." We all, gave us all hugs. Like,
Real one.
that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
And especially, after a tough loss, last game, like a lot of emotions, no one would blame any of these guys for just, holding up in their room for the night and taking it on tomorrow.
Yep.
For Cam to come down, man, and show love in that moment was just a microcosm of why we love him so much.
He's the
Bro,
best.
and that's a great point, too, about showing up and still being yourself after a loss when you have every right to be pissed off and have an attitude. I felt that right after the Nebraska game. And again, it was still kind of new to me being around the team and being around Cam. But after that Nebraska game, going into that post-game presser, I didn't really know what to expect. And they send Cam out there to talk to the media. And dude is professional as can be. Like, again, not having an attitude, answering questions fully, going into full detail. And like that caught me by surprise. And again, to your point, it was just so cool. Like, it just speaks to the kind of the man that he is, the heart that Cam is, and it's no surprise that he's going to be a demon in the NFL for sure. I'm going to miss that guy, no doubt.
I don't think any new player embraced the University of Colorado as much as Cam did, honestly. I mean, he's like buff through and through. He really bought into Boulder, the program, the university, the logo on his helmet.
Folsom Field,
like the entire thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who did a great job of embracing it. But it'd be hard to do it better than Cam did, and embraced us too.
For real,
Facts.
He'll be back.
For sure.
Yeah, he'll be back. Returning
3.
player.
Round 3, returning player. All right, I didn't get someone that I wanted on offense in the last round.
Go for it, bro.
I'm going back, but since we're going returning player, I'm gonna take Omarion Miller.
Love it.
You stole my pick.
Thank you. Feels good.
That's my guy.
I'll just tell you, I was between Taufik Bayard and Joseph Williams.
Okay.
For my last pick, but I'll go Omarion Miller. Dude, I think that he is going to become a superstar over the next couple of years in Boulder, and it's crazy to think that the production that he's had versus the opportunities that he's had.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as the season grew on, you just forget little things. But, like, that touchdown that he had against Baylor is so big in the grand scheme of the season.
Yep.
And just a crazy play.
Yes.
Stay on his feet, and that was nuts.
The plays that he made in the Kansas State game, once Travis went out and he was called upon. I mean, he had 150 yards or something?
Yep.
Damn near. I mean, dude's just like automatic. You give him an opportunity, he produces, and there's a very good chance that he could be wide receiver 1 for this team moving forward. And I just think the sky's the limit.
8 for 145 against K-State. Omarion Miller had.
And he didn't get the second half of the fourth quarter.
It's just like the USC game 2 years ago where he comes in at halftime and just damn near puts up 200 yards in one half.
Yeah. Dude's
he's sick.
A monster.
He is, man.
You got a guy?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a guy that I talked about recently who I'm really high on going into 2025, and that's Amari McNeil on the defensive line. I feel like that Texas Tech game this year was kind of his real coming out party as an elite defensive lineman in the Big 12. Again, if you remember at Texas Tech, this defensive line was really thin due to injuries. I believe Chidozie was out that game. They were missing at least one other starter, at least one rotation player on the defensive line. Amari that game, 9 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. He obviously finished the year, third on the team with 3.5 sacks. But again, what he does in the run game, bullying centers and guards, putting pressure, pushing the pocket on opposing quarterbacks. I think Amari McNeil, again, with another full offseason with Sapp and D. Lou, is going to be a real demon in 2025. I'm excited to watch him.
It really hurt not having him for the bowl game, too.
Absolutely.
Very much
Absolutely.
I'm picking a guy who I think this is the lowest his stock is ever going to be, and that's Cam Michael. Didn't see the field at all, went through injury. It was all about Draylon Miller, early on because of that. And he did get back in time for, bowl game practices and stuff. He was even going through pregame workout at the Alamo Bowl and stuff, and he looked good, man.
He did.
He is going to be a monster for this team. And we'll get to this, I'm sure, at some point in the offseason. I think there's a chance this team might be faster than it was last year, though, with guys like Cam Michael coming back, who are already on the roster on top of, the guys like Quentin Gibson coming in, Joseph Williams, Quanell, Adrian Wilson.
Yeah.
Do not forget about Cam Michael because he is a legit monster. And I almost picked Isaiah Harge just because of the two-way ability. Let's not forget that Cam Michael literally did everything in high school, too.
Yep.
He did.
I'll never forget about him because I've won multiple Heismans with him in CFP 25. So since this is stock report, there probably should be a stock we're selling, right? Mm-hmm. I've got one, but it's not a buff. I'm selling stock on whatever team Carson Beck transfers to. I'm being so for real right now. Whatever team he transfers to, the stock is going to be super inflated.
Yeah.
So because everyone is going to say, oh, they got Carson Beck?
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. This is going to be the DJU of 2025.
Oh.
Wherever
What a
Carson
take.
Beck goes, they're going to think
I love this.
they're going to think they got something, and they're going to massively underperform. I don't understand why this happens. The dude wasn't that good at Georgia. You make the surrounding cast around him worse, he is going to be worse.
He was
man.
decent in 23.
He was. I agree with you.
But
This year,
if that's his ceiling, bro,
yeah.
good luck to whoever gets him.
I think it was Mars in the chat earlier who threw out there Beck going to North Carolina to link up with Bill Belichick, and that would just be fascinating. But that would be a classic example of like everybody's like, Bill Belichick, he's got a quarterback, and everybody's going to be high on North Carolina, and they'll easily go 6-6, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to hold the stock for now. As soon as it inflates like that, boom, I'm selling.
King Mar says top for Beck so far: Miami, Texas Tech, and I'm assuming Ohio State.
Interesting.
Please go to Ohio State, Carson Beck.
Wow.
The Orange Bowl's tonight, boys. Playoff game.
Oh yeah.
National semi-final. We got Notre Dame, and there is a Notre Dame versus Penn State. But Notre Dame, there's something lurking there because there's apparently a flu going around the locker room. And the report is it's only affected really the backups and special teamers.
How convenient.
How is that possible?
Yeah, exactly. They are 1-point favorites still. Actually, I think it might be close to
Pick'em?
a pick'em. I'll check.
It was 1.5 when I first saw the flu news. So I'd be curious if it's shifted since then.
I'm loading up Bet365 right now. But this game is two, I think, pretty similar teams. Defensively minded, athletic quarterbacks like to rely on the run game quite a bit.
Still 1.5.
Okay,
Notre Dame minus 1.5.
let's pick it then.
I mean, part of this is because I'm a Notre Dame hater. I truly don't like Notre Dame.
Yeah, they suck.
And there's nothing cool about Notre Dame.
No.
Except for Marcus Freeman, actually. Marcus Freeman's pretty dope.
Good coach.
And the fact that they put the last names on their jerseys only for playoff games. Did you peep that?
I did not.
I did not.
I thought
know
that was kind of cool too.
All right.
But that's just Marcus Freeman move.
Maybe
And he's cool.
I think that's a historical thing type.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for like the bowl game.
for like
and
whether it
stuff?
be bowl game or yeah.
Interesting.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So they had their names on their back when CU beat them in the national championship? I'm just
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, probably.
I don't know. I've always disliked Notre Dame. Obviously, it was like a national rivalry for CU when we were younger. But I also just think it's like of the. I don't want to call them a blue and blood. Of the big brand
They are.
college football programs, I feel like they've just always been the lamest to me. So I'm picking against them. Give me Penn State, and I also like Penn State's roster better.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, bro. Growing up in Chicago, there are a lot of Notre Dame fans in the Chicagoland area, and that made my father and myself obviously have a disdain for Notre Dame and their fan base. So I'm much like you in that aspect, but I was going to pick Penn State regardless. And, hearing that news about the flu potentially going to the Notre Dame locker room, I'm definitely going with Penn State. Again, I feel like they have the better pass rush. I feel like if when it gets to this point in the season, quarterbacks are going to have to make plays with their arm. And if that's going to be the case, I would trust Drew Aller at this point to do that more than Riley Leonard, who I feel like Leonard relies on his legs a bit more. So give me Penn State.
I want to take the Irish because I love that defense, and I think that
Their DC's one of the best.
Al Golden, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think they are one of, if not the best defense in college football. But the flu thing, and then Jeremiah Love, their running back, he got hurt in the second half against Georgia. It's an injury he aggravated against USC in the season finale. They've been very tight-lipped. They haven't said a lot about him. I guess he is practicing, but they really are managing his workload at this point. It's just not a healthy football team right now. So I'm picking
tough.
Penn State.
All right, it's 3 for 3. What college team did you like growing up?
So I didn't really have one, but I grew up rooting for Wisconsin.
Okay,
I was a Badger basketball and football fan as a kid.
it's an honorable
Yeah.
team to cheer for.
Yeah.
Monte Ball.
Monte Ball was a demon, bro. James White. I loved Russell Wilson, obviously, when he was there. Basketball teams, obviously, dope, too. And then Frank Kaminsky.
Yep.
Sam Decker.
Sam
Some
Decker, that's
demons,
one
for
I was
sure.
trying to remember.
Yeah,
That's the weirdest thing about Chicago.
it is.
It might be the worst thing about Chicago, honestly.
It's not fun because there's just no, there are a lot of, we don't really have one.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of just picks one. Again, there's so many Notre Dame fans. Northwestern's obviously there. Illini is so far away. Champaign is so far away from Chicago that you don't get a lot of fans. So it's really just kind of pick them for the college level in Chicago, which
It makes it weird. It does make it cool. Every bar is basically a different Big Ten team goes there, which is kind of cool. But it is just a weird thing. The CHGO office there's no overlap. It's like there's like 2 Wisconsin fans, 2 Northwestern fans, 2 Illinois fans.
That's crazy.
That's weird.
All right, let's go to the chat.
Facts.
Melvin Gordon.
Demon. Bro.
Melvin Gordon.
There's some good football, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
We don't
Like,
talk about
I mean,
Melvin
there's
Gordon,
some
bro.
bad Broncos, but great college
there
football
was some
players.
good football.
Melvin
played,
Gordon,
no lie.
Jesus. Bobby asks, how do we contribute to the collective? The 5430 website is down. Do you know?
Contribute to the Buff Club. It's just kind of the new way, but I talked about this last week. I think CU has not done a good job of making it obvious what's going on.
Just communicating, bro.
That's kind of on them. So I don't want to say the wrong thing because we haven't seen official messaging from them. But I think I saw someone say the Buff Club is the way to contribute to the football program right now.
All right. Next is Tion says, what teams do you think will give us a problem next year? The Buffs do take on basically all the teams that we wanted to play this year that we didn't play. Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, and they go to Kansas State.
That's what I was going
I
to
saw-
K-State's on the schedule again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's going to be a tough one, I think,
Yeah.
to start the year.
I saw a crazy tweet from an Arizona State fan. They said ASU is basically returning everyone but Cam Scattaboo, like back-to-back Big 12 champions, and I was like, what? Like that was the whole offense.
Yeah.
They really think Sam Lovett is really like that.
Well, and he might be.
Bro just signed a new deal to return.
He did. But
Tyson's coming back.
True.
it's
True.
like saying like we only lost Cam Scattaboo is a crazy thing to say as an Arizona State fan who
Right.
just got carried as far as we did by Cam Scattaboo.
We only lost Travis Hunter.
Yes, dude, that's the same thing. It's like you can't be saying that he should have been further in the Heisman race and then be like, we're only losing him.
I mean, it's the Big 12, man. It's going to be a competitive schedule. They get Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State at home, but they do have to go to K-State. We have to go back to TCU, and we go back to Utah, and then our first trip to Morgantown.
It's gonna be sick.
Arizona State, K-State are the 2 teams that stand out to me as potentially giving the Buffs a problem. But
At Utah, too, man.
true.
I can't
Your
wait.
boy.
I can't wait to go back to TCU.
Me
Same.
too.
I'm excited to experience that.
I
for
hope that's the
time.
first Big 12 game of the season.
We have to stay at the same hotel.
Yes. Yes. We need to do everything exactly the same as last time. Find that barbecue place,
I
bro.
didn't really like that barbecue.
I thought it
place.
was good. Next, Shelly asks, when are we going to discuss the mandatory reduction of the team roster to 105? This concerns me for the walk. We've got until August to do that.
Yeah, we'll get everything eventually.
We've got a long
Real
way
quick.
to get there.
On ASU, Cam Scattaboo, all that. Did they do enough to earn the Big 12 more respect next year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Kenny Dillingham is very respected right now.
I just mean in terms of when the college football playoff comes around next year, does BYU get in? Not actual BYU, but the same resume.
Yeah.
Do they get in because of what ASU showed against Texas?
I think that performance does. I think them just getting in and playing Texas and maybe laying an egg, or that game going on how it looked maybe for a first quarter, would have not got the Big 12 respect in 2025 moving forward. But I feel like that performance showing that they, at least on that day, belonged on the same field as Texas, a team that, still standing, the last team standing in the SEC. I think that earned the Big 12 some respect for sure.
I think so too. And, we were in the trenches of the Heisman debate, just like having to argue with people that the Big 12 is no different than the Mountain West. It's just like,
Oh my God.
It's
couldn't
insane,
be
bro.
further from the truth. The Mountain West is literally just Boise State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Big 12 has great competition week in, week out. And I think it's only going to get better. And I do think that what ASU did against Texas will go a long way in next year's playoff.
Especially if Texas goes on and potentially wins it all, or gets the natty.
They're going to put in Arch.
They need to.
possible.
They need to. K.A. Misha says, Cam is a great young man. Wasn't he the first player on the DNVR podcast in the primary? Do you remember? Because I was trying to think, and
It's a fascinating question.
I was trying to think too. I mean, he was definitely first 3.
He might have been the first one we had in studio.
So the ones that I remember really early are Cam, Tyler Brown, and Dylan Edwards.
Dylan was before the season, though, like right before they started.
Oh,
camp.
you're right, because that was like, this was one that we really wanted to get.
Yeah.
Cam and Tyler Brown. Is there anyone else that I'm forgetting that was on in the early days?
Oh, geez, man. I remember we talked to Montana right after all this happened.
But
Cam was fairly early, though.
I think it's either Cam or Tyler Brown.
Who else did we have?
I don't remember.
Feels so long ago.
It really feels like a lifetime ago. A lot of Kerr slides to go to.
Yeah. Shout out Cam. He'll be back. Matt asked, does Prime have a contract to sign? He's going to the NFL. Is he going to the NFL with Shador and Shiloh? Man, this is sketchy.
I really don't think it's
Relax.
sketchy. Yeah, I really don't think it's sketchy. Yes, their contract negotiations are ongoing. And that's not abnormal. Sometimes I feel like news around this team gets reported in like weird ways to make it sound more sketchy than it is. The way that a contract negotiation works is a contract is offered and then it's counter-offered, and then it's offered and then it's counter-offered. So when Joel Klott says Coach Prime has a very, very, good, very, very good offer on his desk, awesome. There might be a couple million in the assistant pool that needs to be worked out. There might be something with the facilities that needs to be worked out. There's these contracts are pages and pages and pages long, and when you're Deion Sanders, you have a lot of leverage.
Yep.
In these contract negotiations. And so whether he's working on the assistant pool or something to improve facilities or something to improve, recruiting capabilities or whatever it is, that's how it works. You go back and forth until you get to something that everyone's happy with. And I think that's what's going on.
The man has said multiple times how much he wants to stay here.
Yep.
Super chats. Robert with the super chat says, don't be surprised if Pregnon ends up somewhere else. There's a bidding war, and someone will end up overpaying. Yep, I think the Zy Crisler,
the Crisler
commitment was foreshadowing for that. Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about this, but Pete Thamel reported it, but there's like message board talk that he hasn't actually committed yet.
Of all people to have reported it,
that's what I said.
That I feel like I
was like, did he just jerk around Thamel? Like, I don't know about that.
Bro, people played Colorado before.
But why? How would Pete think? Like, Pete Thamel's not even that much in like the reporting commitment business.
Facts.
He's had some.
But like usually it's big ones, and I would guess he's pretty right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm just saying. I'm just passing on info.
It's out there.
Baron with the super chat.
Pete Thamel or Thamel. I think it's Thamel.
Yeah, I'll be saying Thamel.
Will be dead to me.
He definitely getting an unfollow if that ends up happening.
Baron with the super chat. Are Harge and Draylen completing for the flanker position, or Debo's Samuel spot at CU?
Two very different guys, I think.
Draylen's a lot bigger than Harge.
Yeah.
And as we saw this last year, we thought Jimmy and LaJonte were going for the same position, and they were able to coexist and get on the field at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I would be really disappointed if this offensive staff wasn't able to come up with ways to use both of those guys in similar yet different roles, right?
Yeah.
And they did that this year. Isaiah Harge lined up in the backfield and, had like a inside trap. They had a direct snap to him. Like, when you have athletes like this, you should have different things that might present like a similar position, but are created to accentuate those guys' skills.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Big Beats Franklin with the super chat. As a Naptown Buff and Colts fan, this 2 to Tennessee-ish is killing me. I enjoy putting BTA to conference rivals, and my in-laws from Tennessee Shador to anywhere but Tennessee.
See, I totally understand how you feel. But like, I feel like we caught a lot of shit for when we didn't want Shedeur to go to the Raiders.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a terrible feeling if it's going to go to a team that you don't like or that has to play against your favorite team.
It's a win if Shedeur Travis just don't end up in Vegas, I think.
Yes.
Because thankfully the Chargers, Chiefs obviously are in the playoffs, so unless barring a franchise-shifting trade, they're not going to end up on one of those teams.
By the way, did you see the Raiders fired their GM today?
Yep.
Why is everything they do backwards?
Because they're a dumpster fire and one of the worst organizations in the history of the NFL.
Tom Brady might have full autonomy in there now. I ain't gonna lie, with the GM out of there, it might be Tom Brady behind the scenes pulling strings. And we know what quarterback he like.
Well, I'll just say this. The dude is calling games this weekend, I assume, right?
Has to be.
I would think so, yeah.
So he's preparing to call a football game and pulling all the strings of the Raiders organization. I'm just saying, even that screams like dysfunction.
True. No, I hear you on that. Yeah, I hear you. It's gonna be interesting, bro.
There's a lot going on over there. All right, that's it.
But anyways, if you're going to fire someone, you should fire your GM. Like, usually the GM is the one who fires the head coach.
Bro, and that's what I said. And it was reported 2 days ago when they fired Pierce that they were retaining Telesco. And now 2 days later, he's fired.
And I mean, I have no idea what Telesco's track record was. I don't even know how long he was there.
I think only 2 years. I think he came over from the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers fired him not too long ago.
Yep. He did draft Brock Bowers.
He did.
And that's and when the news came that he was being retained, I'm like, oh, Bowers saved his job.
Yeah.
That was literally my thought.
Look, and this is, I guess, a bit of a contradictory thing, but if there was anything Telesco could do, it was actually pick players in the draft.
Right.
It just never came together for the Chargers, and then, I mean, this year, there was no hope for the Raiders this year.
Nah.
Yeah.
Not in that division, not in that conference, not with no quarterback.
Forgetting all of that, like, you know, people talking about, I saw it in the comments, like, is Prime going to the Raiders? Like, I would have to assume that Coach Prime is pretty disappointed with the way they treated Antonio Pierce.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Probably talking Caden Salter.
All right, let's get salty.
See you then, Go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.